Good morning.
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 I feel like I'm in a Baptist church. Everybody sitting in the back of the room. So I'm Brooks Batchelor, and I'm with the Rural Center. How many people have heard of the Rural Center out of Raleigh? Actually, we cover 85 counties in North Carolina. Our program, the Small Business Credit Initiative, actually covers all 100 counties. So Tamara I was telling her that I'd be glad to come up and present and talk about our program, which covers Cumberland County. We have several banks we work with in Cumberland County, which I can tell you about. But I'm a 26-year banker with Wachovia most of my career. Helped start a community bank in Wilson, North Carolina with them for 10 years. So banking, as you know, is changing every day. You're seeing more mergers and acquisitions. It's not necessarily good for the small business owners. The bigger banks really don't understand small business, I don't think. The smaller banks do. So we're working primarily with the community banks in North Carolina. So I cover half of Raleigh East and the western part of the state. And my counterpart covers the 85 corridor. So we have two of us that cover North Carolina. So we have a pretty big territory. We're real busy right now doing our business lending, and I'm going to go through the slides right now and explain exactly what the Small Business Credit Initiative is. So we'll get started. This is a smart board, whenever you want to. So the Small Business Credit Initiative, it started out at $1.5 billion for the whole country. Each state was allotted money based on their unemployment rate. So this was the Small Business Jobs Act of 2010. So I started with the Rural Center in 2011. So after I left banking, after 26 years, I decided to go out and work for a nonprofit, which I really enjoyed doing that, working with all my old banker buddies, because everybody's working for community banks now. They used to work for Wachovia and NCB and all the older banks, First Union, whatever. So we have, North Carolina had $46 million allocated for this program. So we put $35 million dedicated to programs available through the enrolled small banks, which in this county is Select Bank and Yadkin Bank. Used to be New Century, now it's Select Bank. So we have the Capital Access Program and the Loan Participation Program. And like I said, they're available in all 100 counties. All the other programs in the Rural Center are 85 counties. So eligible business loans, so we have North Carolina companies with 500 employees or more, or less, We can do for-profits and non-profits. So basically, the loans we do most is owner-occupied real estate, equipment, and working capital. And the owner-occupied real estate loans are typically where a business has a loan-to-value issue. A bank comes to us and says our customer has had an appraisal on their property, they want to finance their loan with us, so we buy 15% of the loan basically. So we're a subordinate lender, and it's happened a lot now with appraisers. Appraisers they can't find comps because of foreclosure, that kind of thing. So basically we come in and we'll buy 15% of that loan, and they'll send us a payment every month from the bank. So we're subordinate. So in case of foreclosure or whatever, we're in second position. Sometimes we'll do all three. I just did a loan to a dentist office. So we did owner-occupied real estate, equipment, and working capital. So we can participate in all three loans. So we have the Capital Access Program. That's the program that, when I first started with the Rural Center, that was our first program. So what that program is involved in is really smaller loans, lines of credit or whatever. So basically, the bank makes a loan and they charge a 2 to 7% fee. The average fee is around 3%. We max that fee in their reserve account. So they can build up loans. The key to that is to build up 7 to 10 loans or 20 loans and have a big reserve account, extra reserves, in addition to their normal reserves. And they can, if they have a loan loss in one of their loans, they can use all those reserves for that one loan loss. So it's really kind of a stagnant money. We've gotten out probably $675,000. It was moving very slow. So that's why we created this next program we'll talk about. It's really exciting. But we've done more lines of credit than anything else. We've done some equipment lending. So we've done 300 loans, totaling $23 million in loans supported. So that program is really kind of phasing out. We've got $1 million allocated for that program. It was $5 million, so we got $300,000 left. So we have the loan participation program. So basically, we launched this program. We saw other states. We were looking at other states, and we launched this program in 2012. There are about 5 or 6 programs that this program, Small Business Credit Initiative, offers. But we found the loan participation program was more it was cleaner and easier to use for small banks, community banks. We really don't work with the larger banks. It's just so hard for them. We did in the capital access program, but for the loan participation program, the larger banks, it's hard for them to turn their big ship. The smaller banks can jump right in, sign documents, and join and start working with us. So they go through their bank, the normal process. The customer goes to the bank and they apply for a loan and just say they don't have any money to put down on the loan. So basically, we're the equity in. So we can be 15% equity in to get them to 85% loan to value. So it's good, really good for the customer, and it's good for the bank because we're supporting again. The program is very simple to use. The customer signs one document. Once the bank signs the master participation agreement, covers all their loans. So then the customer signs one document, the bank signs one document, and then we wire the money after they close. So very simple. It's not like SBA, which SBA is a great program. There are no fees involved. So it's a very, very simple program. Quick turnaround times, we can get a loan request from the banker and have them make a commitment letter within 10 days. So the Rural Center has about 15 employees. There are 4 employees actually in our area at the Rural Center. But we can turn around a loan probably in 2 or 3 days and then issue a commitment letter to the bank. Then they actually close the loan and then we fund it. So basically, the loans we're seeing, term loans up to 10 years, amortized up to 20 years. Most loans are 5-year term or 7-year term. So we buy 15% or $250,000, the lesser of. We sell the participation. We actually buy the participation from the bank, and there are no fees to participate in the program. It's a simple application, borrower certification, like I said before, and basically it's used to offset shortfalls in collateral. Loan to value is our main issue. Liquidity, and you'll find a lot of professionals using this program, dentists and lawyers or whatever, buying their office building that they're actually leasing at the time. That's what we're seeing mostly. Again, we're subordinate. Excuse me. So the limitations, what we cannot do in the program, we cannot do passive real estate. We can't do shopping centers. Anything that's passive. It has to be owner occupied. If it's an existing building, it's 51%. New building is 60%. So new construction. So if you have a building and you're in the building and you're 51% existing building and you're refinancing it, you have the other part leased out, the real estate holding company, if you have a real estate holding company, the operating company has a lease from the real estate holding company, and then the other tenant has a lease from the operating company, because that would make it not passive real estate. So refinancing at the same bank was a no-no in the beginning, so they changed the rules for us so we could get that done. Some banks have loans that are maturing. They have a 5-year term, and they're maturing, and they're coming up for renewal, and so they have appraised, and it comes in 100% loan to value. So as long as the note's maturing, they do new underwriting, and they have new money for working capital or equipment or whatever, we can actually get involved in that loan, even though the loan's on the books of that bank. So the process for the LPP program is very simple. The lender identifies the loan that requires risk mitigation. They send all their documentation to us, including tax returns and underwriting, and basically sometimes, most of the time, in most cases, the lender will call me and we'll talk about it on the phone to make sure it meets the guidelines of the SSBCI program. So again, quick turnaround, and we basically fund it on Thursdays after they close, and they send us our P&I, our portion of the P&I payments every month, up to 15%. So we'll do 1% to 15% for the banks. The banks like it because it's so simple to use. The typical use of the loan participation program is a 5-year note, 20-year AM, maturing. The collateral is the owner's building. So we have an appraisal at 90%, for example. So we'll come in, we'll purchase 10% of that loan, which puts the bank in guidelines at 80%. Most banks' guidelines for loan to value are 80, 85%. So if we get them in that range, they're happy. So basically, the customer's buying their lease space or business expansion, etc. So basically, this is our SSBCI team. Patrick Woody, who's familiar with the Rural Center, what we went through a couple years ago. So we had a lot of grant programs, like water, sewer, and mineral reuse and all that. That all went to Commerce. So this program, SSBCI, is basically our strongest program right now at the Rural Center. I did give you a handout that shows all the other programs at the Rural Center. We do have a micro lending program there. It's $25,000 and below for banks that we take credit scores 525 and then up. So it's a riskier lending. That's direct lending from the Rural Center. We have a leadership program, etc. But our team, Tom Wall's the director. I'm the assistant director. Tom covers also a fund of funds program we have, which is seed money. We put $10 million in that program for startup business across North Carolina. We have 4 investments companies that are working with those. We have Damien Smokes, who does our loan closing. So once we get the loan approved, Damien takes the documentation, makes a file, does a commitment letter, and gets that bank funded. Jennifer she's our senior accountant, and she actually does the funding once the bank closes the loan. So this is my contact information. Again, I'm assistant director. I've been there 4 years since the program started. Came out of banking after 26 years, and I'm very happy to be out of banking, to be honest with you. So banking is changing every day. We were talking about that earlier about the mergers that are going on, and you're gonna probably see more and more of that. Probably fewer and fewer banks in your communities. I'm hoping to see again some community banks start back up. I helped start one in Wilson, North Carolina in 2000. Very good experience for me. In my Wachovia days, I actually started off as a internal auditor, and that's where I learned all facets of banking to help my career. And then starting the community bank was really good because I got to see it from the ground up. Dealing with the FDIC sometimes is not very fun right now. I think the smaller banks are overregulated, and that's why the smaller banks are struggling. The bigger banks are not. That's a hard time. But banking is changing. I'm hoping that the economy will improve. We've helped a lot of people with this program. We probably, our portion of the participations has been around $30 million. So we've got $36 million in this program. And actually in the president's budget, which was just released yesterday, there's another small business credit initiative that's being proposed for $1.5 billion. So if we get that approved, then North Carolina could get $65 million in additional monies for the banks and the communities. Any questions?
How does a borrower get to you?
Well, they can call us and we can refer to a banker basically, and we can talk about the program. We have a website. They go to that website and talk about the program.
You would want borrowers to get to you before they went to the bank?
They can. I can give them some contact information on the banks in their communities. There are on our website. There are a list of banks in our communities that are in our programs. So in most cases, they call me. I'm probably put them in with a bank that I'm familiar with.
You ever work with SBA?
We cannot work with SBA, piggyback SBA. They're 2 separate programs. We have banks that work with both SBA and us. So, like for example, is the Yakin Bank in Fayetteville. They do a lot of SBA lending, and they use our program a lot. So they're number 1 in our program. So most of the smaller banks just use us. Mid-tier community banks use SBA and us. So The bigger banks do a lot of SBA lending. Yeah. So, I've done a lot of 504s in my day and 7As and that type of lending myself. So, this program I found, if I had this when I was a banker, it would have been heaven. I mean, it's really a simple process. Once we establish a relationship with the bank likes it. It's easy for them. And they just send us part of the payment every month, and we're subordinate, so it makes it good for them and the customer. So it helps the customer get their loan.
Do you lean toward people that want to buy franchises or independent business owners?
Independent business owners. We've done some franchises. A few. We've done some restaurants. We've done some farms. But as long as the farmer is tending the property himself, we can do it. It's all right.
Do you give any suggestions about the capitalization, or I know a lot of businesses don't borrow enough money? They're undercapitalized to begin with.
We can do working capital. In most cases, the customer uses us and our 15% and keep their cash for working capital. So they use us for the equity in, and they keep their cash for working capital. That's what we find most cases. We wouldn't have a problem with that because the liquidity is important. So.
So there's some of your programs that are only in 85 counties. What counties are not included in that program?
This is all 100 counties?
Okay.
Yeah. The other programs you see in your brochure there are just 85 counties. Our leadership program, the micro loan program, and the other programs are 85 counties. So if you have somebody that is having a problem with their loan to value or some cash flow issues or liquidity or whatever, you can send them to Yadkin Bank and Select Bank in this Fed, and they know about the program. They've got a lot of loans with us. Both banks have. Like I said, Select and New Century just merged, so it's now Select. Yadkin actually merged with Crescent Bank, and they bought East Carolina Bank in the East. And so banks are changing, but Yadkin is probably the largest community bank in North Carolina now. We want to keep the community banks. Nothing wrong with the big banks. They serve their purpose. I worked for one for years, but I worked for both. But community banks for the small businesses will definitely make the extra effort to help the customer. I was telling them earlier, the big banks thinks the small business is 10 million in sales. And the community bank thinks small business is 500,000 or million in sales. So they think more on the level of the small business.
You said you do not work with SBA. Are there certain things that you can do that SBA does not do?
Our guidelines are pretty much like SBA. We pretty much mirror their guidelines. Pretty much the same guidelines.
What would be the advantage of using you as opposed to SBA?
Fees and turnaround time. And SBA, I think 504, they'll do up to 40%. Subordinate. So we only do 15%. So ours is a little bit less. So the customer puts in 10%, the bank does 40%, and the 50%, the SBA does 40% on a 504 guaranteed loan. So if the customer wants to pay the fees and wait a little longer for the 504s, they go that route. And the bank wants to take a little less risk. Depends on what kind of property it is or what kind of project it is. If it's special use property, then they'll probably go SBA. For a dentist's office or a law office or whatever, they'll probably come to us. Any other questions? Any questions about what's in your brochure about the other programs? We have the entrepreneurship and micro loan enterprise program. Leadership and outreach program, and this is just rural county programs. And it also has a list of all of our employees in there too.
Whenever you say rural counties, is Cumberland County considered a rural county?
No, it's not considered It's just our urban county. And that's changing. The rural center's always said 85 counties, but I think they're trying to, like Pitt County might be a urban county at some point in time. Johnson County, they look at those counties to see if they can upgrade those to a different tier. Any further questions?
Brooks, when you're doing your loan packet, how important is the business plan?
Business plan is very important, yeah. The SBC directors are doing a great job with the customer, with our actual customers, with their business plans. And the business plans, the bank sees those first, but the bank pretty much makes a decision. If they make a decision, they make it based on us being a participant. So they put in most in their credit memos I see, they're saying, we're doing this loan based on putting it in LPP. So they work with you, the business plan, after the small business centers to help with it. And so we do read the business plans, and we've seen some really good business plans come out of this area.
What is something that this community can do for you in regards to the program that's benefit to the Cumberland County area?
If you have a friend or a business owner or whatever, go on our tell them to go on our website, or refer them to Yadkin Bank or Select Bank, or have them call. They can call me, and I can walk them through the program. So just take my contact information down. Like I said, there's only 2 banks in this community. We've done about 2 or 3 loans in Fayetteville in the past 12 months. And we're just getting started in this area. It took a while to get started. And that was due primarily to the mergers, Yadkin and Select mergers. But yeah, if you have somebody that has a need, a working capital need, or a liquidity need, or whatever, just refer them to a bank or have them call me. Referrals to banks.
Any other questions? Well, we thank you.
You can hit that
I'm
right.
sorry, we have one, I'm sorry.
What would be the big difference in the determining factor when you look at one loan? I'm talking about small business. What is the major difference in what you see determining factor in approving a loan? You know, most small businesses are just getting started, don't have much capital.
Right.
What is the one thing that banks look at that will give one small business a loan versus another? What's one of the major factors are they looking at?
Credit's a big part of it.
Credit is a big part.
Yeah. 700 or better is what we're looking for in this program.
Is that credit for the business or credit for the
Personal credit.
It'd be my personal credit. Okay.
And a good business plan. And experience in the industry. And
So not experience in business, but experience in the industry.
So that's what banks are primarily looking at, is background, education, credit, all the things. Doesn't necessarily run a business for starters. We've done a few startups in this. The startups that we see mostly were in the capital access program. Like they're smaller loans, so $100,000 or less. And the capital access program is still available too. The larger banks were using that program. First Citizens, BB&T were the biggest users of the capital access program. But they did some startups on that one. Most of what we're seeing is existing businesses refine or actually buying or moving their business from one bank to another bank. Did I answer your question?
Yep.
But the small business centers were the main source to get it started going. I appreciate y'all having me today.
Thank you.